Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central, and here's your host, Bob Hickey.
And welcome to another episode of Foxborough Central. I am Bob Hickey, your host, and I thank you for taking the time to join me and my guests as we talk about the people, events, and organizations that make Foxborough truly the gem of Norfolk County. And Foxborough being a community, a town, we have a board of selectmen. They are our governing body, and we are very honored, as we are about this time every year, to be joined by the chairman of the board of selectmen here in Foxborough. Jim DeVellis is the chairman this year. He doesn't join us every year, but this year he's joining us to talk about the state of the town. So welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for Cable Access for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Cable Access and our legions of followers are happy that you took the time. So the information that I'm going to pull out of you is nothing more than how are we doing and what are we doing and where are we going, and just in general, how great is things?
Sure.
How great are things in Foxborough?
So far, so good. I mean, it's this is going on my 6th year doing this now, and there's a lot of stuff going on. It just seems we're busier now than we have in the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, for people who pick up the Foxborough Report, they can certainly see that. And of course, with town manager Bill Keegan, he does a great job communicating. He has a show here on Foxborough Cable Access. He shares his update, and we also have a very robust town website. And of course, the volunteers do. Show your meetings every Tuesday night that they appear.
Over the last year or so, we've if you watch our meetings every other Tuesday, we'll do a chairman's update, and we try to give as much information, general information, as we can. The town website really came together over the last couple of years. Bill Keegan, our town manager, is pretty resourceful on getting the information out there. Recently, we have a new Facebook page.
Get out.
Foxborough, Massachusetts, OUGH. So you can like us on Foxborough.
So people can like Foxborough on Facebook.
On Facebook, yep.
Wow.
And then we also
Never thought I'd see the day for that one, friend.
It's new, and a lot of towns are doing it. The other thing that we've started doing is brand new is we have a Twitter account now, so you can tweet, or we can tweet out, and you can forward that information.
So if there's any important information, you'll tweet us.
Yeah, and it's a nice way to get information out. I was on the Common the other day, and there was a lemonade stand the kids were doing for the rec department, and the police showed up, and they tweeted it right there.
That was great.
They set it out, and people do watch it, and
that sounds like it was
fun.
I read that in the paper. That was great.
Yeah, so it's getting the information out, and hopefully, if people have the information, they'll tune in, they'll come to the meetings, they'll participate, and we really do want feedback. We want people to participate during the decision process of all the things that we do, and it helps us.
And the meetings are still being held at the high school.
Yep.
And that's going to happen until something is resolved with Town Hall, I imagine.
Yeah, we have at the last town meeting, the residents voted to approve the soft cost to design it. One of the warrant articles coming up in the fall is for the full construction money. So in the fall, we'll have a warrant that'll say, all right, here's the final design, here's the cost estimate based on real bids, and do you want to approve it or not? And then from that point on, it's probably about an 18-month build process.
Really, 18 months. And for folks at home, this is free form. We don't have a script, and I'm asking questions. So this is one thing we didn't actually, he gave me a few things that we might want to talk about, but I'm curious. So where are we with the town hall process?
Last week we met with what they call the Permanent Municipal Building Committee.
Bill Yukna is the chairman.
Yep.
Longtime chairman, does a great job.
I've known him through the work at the Ahern and the high school and public safety building. So it's a group made up of, and contrary to what people think, it's not people that sit at town hall. So they're not going to benefit from a nice, glorious office. But they're design professionals, they're contractors, they're regular citizens that vet the process. So there's been, starting with bubble diagrams of space needs and square footage, all the way up to a concept where once the town meeting voted for the soft costs, they went out and hired a firm called LLB, Lerner, Lads and Bertels out of Providence. So they've come back to us several times with different iterations, what they call design development drawings, nearing completion. And then once those drawings get done, It'll show you the offices, the square footage, the building facade. The project has already gone through the planning board and the downtown architecture review committee,
okay.
That type of process, and the design's accommodated all the suggestions, and it's ready to be finalized.
So we're going along on the path that we should be, and it's going to be ready probably this fall for a special town meeting, as yet to be scheduled.
Hasn't been scheduled.
That is
in
a
the
note
fall.
I did take. In all fairness.
Sometime in the fall, and then we'll know. If it's a positive vote, it'll go out. The construction documents are pretty much already bid on, so we can start right away. If it does not go through, then status quo as it's been the last 10 years.
And I know it's too soon because we don't have a finalized plan yet, but you're confident that whatever the vote is in the fall, it's going to be an actual plan with actual dollars, and everything is going to be very well spelled out.
Yeah, it's different. We're doing it different.
Which I think is really all people want, is to have an opportunity to know what they're voting on.
Yeah, on past projects in Foxborough, we voted on a number based on a concept, like the library came up with it.
Sure.
So a number is voted on, then you got to make it work up to that number, and you kind of hold your breath, and hopefully the bidding environment and the architect and everyone's working together and you're on target. This is differently. This time we're doing construction documents. The contractor bids on it, you go with the lowest bid, that's vetted, and there's a hard number. Pen's held until the town votes for it. If the vote says yes, contractor signs it. So we already know what the number is, who's going to do it, and there's a schedule in there. So a lot more security.
Well, that's so tough in the government environment, though, because everything has to go according to process. So a lot of credit to everybody for making that work. It is different than the way it normally works.
It's different. Some towns don't do it. I mean, in my business, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. The downside is when you get to that point, if the town says no, you've spent a great deal of money on design. So, you get your surety in confidence from that number, but
and those are already conversations we had several years ago, which brought us to the point we're at now. So
full circle.
And I suppose now is a great time to mention, of course, I'm here joined by Jim DeVellis, who's chairman of our Board of Selectmen, but you don't get paid money to be the selectman. It's a volunteer opportunity, a little spending stipend, but you have a real job, and that is?
I'm a civil engineer, so I design and permit projects like that in private and public sector jobs.
So Foxborough is really taking advantage of you on several. Well, in addition to taking advantage of anybody who does the role, and that's not self-serving. I was a selectman once, but that was way long ago. I've forgotten all about it. But what does a selectman do? Since I've forgotten all about it.
Yeah, so it's actually there's a narration. It's in our bylaw. It's in our general laws of what the roles are. So. We're in charge of the public safety contracts, so the police, the fire, the DPW, the town manager. So those are our contracts. Basically anything that's not law or voted on by the people separately, we kind of take charge of.
Okay.
So if you want an entertainment license or liquor license, any licensing comes through us. Generally any lawsuits that we want to put forward or protect the town through, we're in charge of. So any given week, we can do a dog bite or contracts negotiations with the union. On Founders Day, I got to be the judge for the pooping contest for the cows. So
yes, and may I
that's not in the bylaw, but that's a proud part of being a selectman.
May I say you did a fantastic job. I saw you on the field. What a beautiful day it was for Founders Day this year. It was great seeing everybody down there. So part of being the Board of Selectmen is that you're also the highway commissioners.
Correct. Yep.
And I only mention that because I drive on the roads, and I've just been noticing that we seem to have a lot of really nice roads these days. The reclamation project and the repaving seems to be going full speed, and you don't hear a lot about it anymore, which in the language of government is a good thing. It's a good thing,
yeah. So that effort started a while back. We used to have separate departments. We had the tree, park and tree, highway, water, sewer. Everything was kind of separate. Under the Department of Public Works, we put all that together. So the left hand, right.
On a trial basis 2 years ago.
Correct.
And is it still a trial, or has it become
it's full-fledged.
Yep, no going back.
No, we're not
going to break out the paint again. So.
DPW director was hired. He came back several times and said, these are our anticipated savings. This is our anticipated process. This is what we're doing now. So for the first time in ever, everything was under one umbrella. And the other thing that was a big boost for us is, and it was controversial at the time, was the meals tax. So a certain percentage of 1%, 3/4 of 1%, the state allowed the towns to surcharge that tax onto the buyer. So if you want to buy a hamburger or a beer or stay in a hotel, there's a certain percentage that comes directly to the town. And then we took that money and said it's not going to go anywhere else except for road improvements and OPEB, the pay now or pay later to our retirees. So we've held that firm. So the money that's coming in, we're spending it on the roads, and you see it.
But that has to be revoted every year, because every year the opportunity is for the current Board of Selectmen, whatever the current board is, to change their mind on that. And that was a big fear of many of us, myself included, and I wrote about it, that those promises would not be honored. And to this point, they have been. So a lot of credit, but also a lot of work. People have to be reminded, don't they? There have been some pressures.
Well, it's so easy when you look at the you look at the tolls at the Pike. They said, once the roads are paid for, we'll get rid of the tax. Taxes never go away. And I was not in favor of the meals tax. I was adamantly opposed to it because it's another tax.
It is another tax.
But we lost that, or the vote. The people won the right to tax it. So it's here.
And the people made a decision, and to this point, that decision has been honored by having a 50-50 split. So that's giving us a huge revenue stream on top of the usual cherry sheet funding and other funding mechanisms for the highway department. So they've been using that money and putting it to good work.
Yeah, so basically the roads are getting improved very quickly. There's a master plan of all the roads in the town are now rated, poor to very good. So crack sealing, curb fixes, drainage fixes, full depth pavement. So if Mrs. Smith calls up and said, where's my road improvements, you can look on a list and say, well, that's scheduled in 4 years, or that's not scheduled because of this. Or so that is, so if you go around town, you'll see new pavement, you'll see chip seal, new technology. If you go on Oak Street, a very wide road, and what the DPW decided to do was two different treatments. So the shoulders, you get 8 foot on each side about. That's kind of a little rougher, keeps the people to the middle on the smoother stuff, so it slows down. So that saved about $60,000 on that, rather than a different option. So we're creative with it, but the money's going exactly where it's supposed to. And then on the OPEB side, we're paying off our debt quicker than any other town around. So hopefully when our kids get up there and they're raising kids, we don't have that. We haven't mortgaged our future. So to the tune of millions of dollars that we're paying off. So.
Well, it's a it's a counting issue, but that's beside the point. It is a burden, though, that the state did assign to the local municipalities, and it's great that Foxborough is able to hold true to the original promises, no matter what we thought of it, and make that go forward. So much credit to the Board of Selectmen for staying the course. And speaking of course, and of course I'm, of course, a horse is a horse, of course.
Sure.
But I'm speaking with Jim DeVellis, our chairman of the Board of Selectmen, with that being aside, that's not general fund money, that's OPEB money, and it's highway money. We just concluded a budget year. I assume that, I shouldn't assume anything, but we made it through the budget year for 2015 fine. In 2016, any hurdles on the horizon, any ominous clouds coming from Beacon Hill? Has Randy Scollins, our fantastic finance director, called you up and said, hey?
Well, he didn't have to call us up. The bond rating company rates us every few years, and they gave us a AA+, which means that the money that we borrow in town for any building project or what have you, we get much better rates than a town with lesser rating. Not only did they uphold that rating, which they basically said in now and in the foreseeable future, because of the economics, our location between 95, 495, the way our accounting is set up, the financial department, all the ducks are in a row, you have a good chance of going to a AAA at the next go around. So there's some work we've got to do to get there, but it's just like a mortgage. You get different rates. You can pay it off early. You get a certain rate. So over the course of time, there's basically hundreds of thousands of dollars we can save.
I think it cannot be overstated what a fantastic job that Randy Scollins has done since coming to our town in 2005 as the finance director, because back then he took this as a very serious long-term exercise, and at every step along the way as the rating has increased, he's refinanced certain portions of it and saved us money.
Sure.
So fantastic
he does
news for us as a community, as a taxpayer. I'm very happy, so that's good.
You would ask what the selectmen do, and one of the roles is we got to balance the budget, it's not a simple task, but
some years are harder than others.
We take it, and the advisory committee takes it over, and they're the process, they're the teeth in it. They ask the questions, and Randy and his team put together a 5-year projection. So if a department wants to spend money, say, well, where is it in the 5-year plan? And that whole process, starting with Randy through the advisory committee to the selectmen and back, is really second to none that I've seen in towns.
And you're absolutely right, because back when you started, there wasn't such thing as a 5-year plan, and there's no legal basis for a 5-year plan. It's really by agreement of all the departments and by selectmen, and also through the hard work of the finance department to ensure that is there and it's stable. Absolutely. Ms. Bill Yuckno is our business manager with the schools. Good partnership there.
Yeah, so that relationship, their percentage of the budget, our percentage, how it works together, I just haven't seen a lot of issues where we couldn't work it out, early on, and that just flows up and down the system. So it's been a great process.
Well, I love singing Kumbaya and holding hands. So let's talk about problems. What issues, what urgent, horrible things are going on right now that you want to share with us? This is called a softball. I'm lobbing it out there.
I don't know what you're asking for.
Lobbing it.
Well, I'll tell you one process.
I have no script. This is all free form.
Yeah, and for the record, I got asked about 2 hours ago to come here, so this is completely unscripted. One issue that we're dealing with is the 140 stretch down by Walnut Street. And
that's a very serious issue, and it's one that's not getting any better.
Nope.
And and going back to way before I was selectman, going back to when I first moved to town, that was a huge problem. And the arguments that the state has always made is that it's too close to the interchange. But then you look at other development, and we'll take Plain Ridge Race Course and the new gambling hall up there. They clearly have a stoplight right off the exit. And I drive by it every day on my way back from work. And I look at that and say, you know what? I don't think that argument holds much water anymore. So I'm glad it's being looked at.
So we've been talking, we had the DPW director come into us and showed us an aerial, and he had a couple ideas.
And they were published in the Foxborough Reporter.
Yeah, the Foxborough Reporter covered it.
And
there's no one solution to it, but at least opening up the dialogue. Jay Barrows is working on. I talked to Bill Greta from the planning board. He's going to have a representative at some meeting that we have, and we're going to look at it from Jay Barrows, our state rep's perspective. He's looking at it from Norton, Mansfield, Foxborough, that whole corridor, because you look at the 140, 106 is development all the way south, past the Home Depot. Coming north, we got the 40B that's going on Fisher Street. That's under review right now. We have the Foxville Plaza. We've got the charter school. So all of these little pieces. At some point, somebody's got to say, hey, put the brakes on, let's look at this whole thing. And I think we're at that turning point right now.
And of course, in fairness to the state, it is not as simple as just plugging in another stoplight. You can't do that at every intersection and expect to have a reasonable traffic flow. So I'm being a little flip about it, but at the same time, it is a frustrating situation and a dangerous one that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, frustration you can handle if you're delayed a little bit. But when you're trying to cross Walnut Street and take a left and you've got 55 miles an hour, it's ludicrous. So the state needs to hear it loudly.
And also Central Street at that other intersection where it comes up above Papagino's onto Commercial. That's a very bad situation also, because the way the road goes, you've got cars that are passing on the right, and then all through that stretch with the plaza, cars are passing on the right as cars are turning in the left, and then do you turn in, do you not?
Yeah, so I know when the big Y was looking at a development, the state basically said, you've got to fix it, which is not entirely fair to one developer.
The approach, I think, was probably a little heavy-handed.
So the developer left and was stuck with it. So that's the other interchange that is part of this whole discussion.
So very good. So things are happening at Foxville Plaza, and as you mentioned, the development going on down there. That's exciting news.
Yeah, there's a lot of development. I mean, the Patriots Place are
with the
building
new hotel
hotels,
being built,
taking moving restaurants. Foxville Plaza is going to be a big change. Fortunately, if one way you're looking at it, it's affordable housing. Unfortunately, because it's traffic and congestion, but there's 3 or 4 40Bs coming into town. Not quite a selectman issue, but we deal with it with the zoning board and the Concom, so we're all in it, the same picture.
I think the thing with housing is that while there is, we'll use the word congestion, it's residential congestion. It's not a drive-through restaurant or a photomat. Well, they don't have photomats anymore, but that sort of thing. So, you know, it's a different type of thing. And, you know, quality of life, you got to have affordable housing, you got to have positive planning. The master plan that is coming together.
Yep, the planning board has been doing a phenomenal job, and obviously, you know, with the passing of Sharon Wasson, we're looking for a new planning director. It's been advertised. Hopefully we can pick that up again. The nice thing about the master plan is it's not predicated on one person or one point in time. It's moving, and it's kind of breathing. And you know, when I remember going to meetings, and the big thing was either the casino or the power outages. And if we set the master plan just about that, you know, we'd be in trouble. It's, you know, so each time now, you know, they're talking about housing and schools and traffic and Route 1 and all different stuff that kind of keeps getting revisited. And, you know, thankful for the planning board to keep that discussion. Next Tuesday, we're meeting with talking about the sewer. You know, we had the town had voted for sewer, and now we're saying, all right, do we just do it internally or do we sell it to Sharon? Right. So the Water and Sewer Commission and the Foxborough Selectmen and the planning board are meeting together just to keep revisiting the big picture, which is helpful.
Which is great, because there are so many moving parts of that as we become owners of the regional plant instead of just customers. Now it gives you opportunity, and that was already discussed. But at the same time, that opportunity comes with a price. So now, how do you fund it without?
You got to pay for the improvements, and you got to find somebody that wants to buy the sewer, and who do you sell it to? Basically.
So a lot of work still in there for the Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners and your team. So, and by the way, folks, I'm here with Jim DeVellis, who is Chairman of the Board of Selectmen. He only has a few minutes left with us. He's very busy. He's running off to another public hearing. Before we do, if you want to reach out to Jim, you can contact him directly. Go to the town website and get his information, or you can just do as I do, and I email him at James DeVellis.
James DeVellis.
Not Jim. James DeVellis, DeVellis at Comcast.net.
Yep. That'll get to me.
That'll get to him.
I'm pretty good with email, so I'll respond to you. And if I don't know the answer, it's a good system now. Bill Keegan makes himself very available. So if it's a road issue or a sign or a stop sign, I'll send it to Bill. Bill will send it to the DPW director. And I think it just saves me. It doesn't save me time, but it just saves me going in the wrong direction because there's a process set up. If I don't know the answer, I'll forward it to someone.
And Bill, as a town manager, is clearly the key person as far as, you know, funneling that information, because he would know where things are supposed to go and how to address it. So we're so close to being out of time, Jim, but I got to tell you, something that I know came up was the flagpole in the town common.
Flagpole. So it was brought up it needed to be painted. Personally, I kind of looked at it and it was kind of nice to see an old flagpole. It never really caught my attention too much. A little bit of history there. Yep. But taking a second look, thanks to Jack Arthurlet, who kind of pushed it, it's rotting through. And if you go up about 20 feet, you'll see a band of basically rust that's going through. Oh, really? It's about 100 feet tall, and it's steel. We can't just paint it again then? We cannot paint it. So we just got bids, and the DPW director, Roger Hill, sent it out. There's a couple different options. It's going to be on the agenda actually tomorrow. When this is broadcast, it'll be passed. But steel, fiberglass, or a composite, about a 100-foot pole, a new base, and we're putting together a committee. Jack Arthurlet, Tina Bellinger, who I spoke to today. We volunteered her again, so she's going to be jumping.
Tina is a great person. She's a scout mom. She's on the school committee. She seems to be doing a lot everywhere.
So the big picture is it's probably, when all said is done, the plaza that's going to be replaced, the base, the 100-foot pole, it's going to be about $45,000. The plan is, and we'll talk about it tomorrow night, is let's reach out to the scouts, the sporting groups, the businesses, the common person that uses it for the band. Everyone chip in a little bit. We get it done quick. It would be nice to get it done sooner than later, so it's not a prolonged process. And you know, that's one thing that it's the center to everything in Foxborough when you drive through it. So if we can't figure this out, we're in trouble. So I'm confident we can put a good group together.
Well, I've always said that Foxborough works on the back of our volunteers, and this will be another great example of that when it. It will. It will. Yeah.
Basically, anything in the common, if you look at the history, has not been done by taxation. It's volunteers, it's donation, and I think people take pride in that. So, you know, if it's done right and the money's going where it's going to go, and there's a benefit that is attainable quickly, I think we'll be very surprised. Or it shouldn't be surprised. I think it'll go the way other things do.
Very pleasantly surprised. And You know, we're so close to being out of time. I'm going to give you the last word, but I'm going to remind everybody that I've had the pleasure of sitting here and talking with Jim DeVellis, the chairman of our Board of Selectmen. I hope you've enjoyed learning about the state of the town, if you will. Again, if you want to reach out to Jim directly, you can go to a Selectmen's meeting. They're every other Tuesday night up at the high school at the Media Center. Your town government at work, and never be afraid to be part of the process. But if you want to just email him, reach out to jamesdevellis@comcast.net. Jim. How are things and what's going on?
So I guess, you know, it's easy for me to sit here and take credit for the selectmen, but let me tell you about the selectmen and our staff. So we got town manager, assistant town manager, secretary, and administrative assistant, all very well qualified. Things are running very well. So if there's any questions, you can email any of them. They're all on the town website. We've got 5 selectmen, so each of us have 3 terms, and they're
Staggered.
So there's a 3, a 3, and a 2.
And yours is coming up this year?
You're in the, at the end of next May. So it'll be my end of the second term. Yeah. So, you know, my email, if you want to email me. Are you ready
to give a bombshell tonight?
Yeah? No.
No?
But if you've got any questions, you know, email any of the selectmen. And you know, it's funny because you know, there's always controversy at some point. You know, and I have a lot of respect for all of the members on the board. We all have different expertise, different passions. You know, whether it's policing something or moving something forward or what have you. We're working pretty well together. So great. Email any of us. All of us are well qualified to do what's good for the town in our eyes, and things are getting done. And it's a good time. You know, the economy's busier than ever right now. There's a lot of developers coming in. We're not losing sight of the history, trying to incorporate that with everything. So, you know, and we're trying to get information out, so it's not just a headline that people can draw opinions from. Information is going out now on Facebook and in our tweets, and we invite you to come to the meetings. If you come to the meeting, it's a different flavor. You can dialogue. We always have citizens' input at the beginning of the meeting, and you know, it's kind of sad when nobody shows up. You know, we had town hall meeting the other day, and I think, you know, Dick Haydecker showed up, and there was nobody else. And here's something that's been going on for 10 years. You know, I don't fault people for not doing it, but there's an opportunity to come and talk to us.
Well, I'm going to say then that I'm going to take that as, Chris, I want to turn around and make it a compliment, because I think part of the issue when people do come and criticize and complain and talk and question at the meetings is when they don't have information, they don't feel they're being told what's going on. And I think, as evidenced by the Facebook and the Twitter feeds, a continuing effort to modernize, expand, and give more information. And whether we agree or disagree with the information is power, and it's a great thing. Yeah. So a lot of credit to everybody involved, the 5 selectmen, the administrators you just talked about, but also to the different media outlets, Foxborough Cable Access. You know, Frank McGowell's out there every meeting, and
Frank is there at every meeting and at every sporting event and every school event. So I can't, you know, and again, my business, I'm in front of other towns at planning boards, and I just don't see the coverage for the people to pay attention that Foxborough has, and we're lucky for that.
And we're also lucky that we have our own local newspaper with reporters in town that are able to do it. And I'm not a reporter. This is not me. Yeah. Frank Mortimer and Bill Stedman, who do such a great job with the local paper. So between them and between the willingness to give information from the town boards and town government, things are going well. Yep. And that's all we can ask for, Jim. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
The state of the town is that we're doing pretty good.
We're doing pretty good.
It's a good time to be here.
Appreciate it.
Always a good time. And speaking of good times, I hope you'll join me next time on Foxborough Central. If you want to have a really good time, you should come on down to the studios at 28 Central Street and take a little time to volunteer yourselves. I've got phenomenal volunteers. Betty Travers manning all 15 cameras tonight. Paul Beck behind the glass. Michael Weber wondering why on earth he let me do this job in the first place. And Lauren Bertar, bless her heart, she puts me on the air every single week just so we can have some fun together. Until next time, folks, have a great night, Foxborough.
Hey, thanks, Bob. Appreciate it.